Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Amy Harrill podcast. Good morning, Amy.
Good morning, Sherman. This is so exciting to be here with you.
I love kickoff episodes. It is so cool. Talking about kicking off and taking off and flying. You've shared before this incredible story of the Wright brothers. And I know you're in North Carolina.
That's right.
This all happened in North Carolina with the Wright brothers.
That's right.
Do tell.
Okay. I know that we have heard this story of Orville and Wilbur Wright. They were determined to get the first airplane off the ground. But what's interesting to me, Sherman, is that they were just humble bicycle repairmen. They were brothers.
Okay.
And they did not have the fame and the money. No one knew who they were, but their competitors did in that time. But what they had, Sherman, was this unwavering commitment to make their corner of the world better. And they knew that if they could get an airplane up with a human in it, that they could contribute to positive change. And that's very similar to people that we get to serve every day. That's a classic case. But what's so interesting to me, Sherman, is in 1903, the race was on to build the first flying plane. But most of the industry was focused on the engine, and the Wright brothers obsessed over the wingspan. So they knew if they could get their glider off the ground without an engine, all they had to do was strap a small gas engine to that glider and it would fly. And sure enough, there were 5 witnesses that saw that glider plane with a small gas engine go 120 feet for 12 seconds. And my European friends like to tell me that they were not the first ones to get it off the plane, but us in North Carolina, we're going to defend it.
I'm sure somebody has the real actual facts. But
Yeah.
why is that? Why was looking at the wingspan versus the engine so important? How does that play into businesses also?
I believe that leaders are recreating the engine obsession of 1903. They are focusing on the fastest traffic source to get clients, but they're completely ignoring the system to convert those people once they take an action. And it's very important to us to understand that systems run the business, but people run the systems. So if we ourselves do not know what the people on the other end of that click really want, how are we actually going to convert them on the other side into a service that they can find value in?
I'm so meaty. That is just chock full of a lot to marinate. But at the same time, what are the common faults or problems that you see in the marketplace that pertain to what you said?
A lot of my clients come to me after they have hired a digital marketing agency and they didn't get what they wanted. My observation has been that it's not the digital marketers that are the problem. It's the leader that believes that it's the digital marketer's responsibility to make them successful, to get them enough clients and to help them drive up revenue. But we as the leaders cannot expect a digital marketer to do something we ourselves have not yet tried. So for instance, if the Wright brothers had built the engine before they knew the glider would fly without it, it would have never gotten off the ground because the wingspan would not have been able to support the big engine. And the systems of today and digital marketers and what they do, they are a system. They are an engine. And if we don't go and test the glider plane, you can strap any beautiful engine to it you want. You can strap flashy websites, studio equipment, stage time, and it still is not going to create conversions that help you actually scale and duplicate a business.
If you follow up with that, Amy, what happens when that cycle continues over and over again?
What happens is they get some drippy, drabby business, but their airplane, their business is like this roller coaster. Some months are really good. And then you sit back and you think, what did I do to bring in all that income? There's no way of knowing, to recreate it. And so by really paying attention to the wingspan, which we'll talk about in future episodes, by paying attention to that wingspan first, you can strap any engine to it you want. You can strap YouTube, you can strap Facebook ads, you can strap whatever system of technology to it, and it will fly. You will have conversions and they'll be consistent. So your business will have a steady, consistent growth pattern versus this choppy up and down. And living on a roller coaster of income. There's nothing worse than that feeling, man.
Yeah, like, Bon Jovi said, "Living on a prayer."
Yeah, exactly. That's what a lot of us I used to do it, and that's what a lot of owners do. They live on hope and pray and try strategies.
Mhm,
And in our time together, we're going to unpack how to get predictable outcomes. And it
mhm.
starts with realizing where technology and digital marketers and sales teams fit in the process and where you as the owner must know how to duplicate yourself.
From what I hear, systems run businesses, but people run the systems. So the
Mhm,
people, the leaders, need to know how to run it effectively so that they
mhm,
can scale,
mhm.
so they can grow and ascend and increase
Duplicate.
business. Your company name is Ascend. Why is that so important to you versus the shoot for the stars
Mhm,
type of growth?
mhm. You and I know this, that in the world of algorithmic engineering, the result of the outcome, so the people that actually see content and respond to it and then pay you after they have read the content, the result of that comes from a slow and steady pushing down on the gas. So if we are to go to an algorithm and drop $1,000 on one day and try to get it to as many people as we can, it actually implodes. It's like
Mm,
flooding the engine. So, if we are going to be leaders that operate systems of technology to acquire clients and then also to automate parts of our business, then we have to understand how the system of technology works. And you can't push the pedal down. That means you can't shoot for the stars because you're actually not going to land on the moon in
mm,
technology. You're going to shoot for the stars and the whole thing's going to implode because you don't have a process, a structure, a wingspan to support the growth yet.
mhm,
And so the slow and steady climb of following the path of technology and saying, okay, let's test it, let's learn from it, and let's go back and do it better the next time. That's how a
mhm,
system of technology gets better and slowly scales over time, which actually makes us more money in a shorter amount of time.
mm.
Because if we do not pay attention to the rules of technology and we try to shoot up high, it shuts us down. And then we have lost money, we have lost time, and we have to start over. And so we have to,
Mm,
if we take those rules of technology and apply them every day to our business and say, okay, I'm going to go lean, I'm not going to go wide, I'm going to go deep on my business. I'm going to
mm,
help this person better and better. I'm going to help this group of people better and better. You can now give that information to a digital marketer and it's going to duplicate fast. It's
mm,
really awesome. There's a lot to be said for slowing down
mm.
in a world of technology. You will go much faster. Don't you
Well,
agree?
it's funny because what comes to mind
Mhm,
is the driving a car. When you're
mhm,
punching the gas, you use a lot more gas.
mhm.
You're not really going to get somewhere faster because you ever have somebody on the road go as fast as they can to try to cut through and you
Yes,
realize you're at the same stoplight a
right.
minute down the road. You're like, why did you do
Yes.
all that and waste all your gas? We got to the
Right.
same place at the same time and we didn't use that much gas to
Mhm,
get there.
mhm,
But I can see truth in that
mhm.
because of my experience with Google Ads
Yeah,
and my experience with SEO
yeah.
and realizing that Google's savvy to what the outliers are doing. And they almost go, okay, this one's an outlier, this one's an outlier. Let's flush that result. Let's focus on the mainstream where people are gradually growing. And
Mhm.
it's consistent, it's a marathon, and
That's
that's
right.
normal
That's
versus the
right.
outliers hitting hard. And that's
Mhm,
very abnormal.
mhm. Yeah,
You
that's
know?
true. I heard a quote, Sherman, that said, "I've spent my whole life trying to be an overnight success." And that's what we're talking about here. That is exactly what technology does. It is not the thing that's gonna bring you the people. You have to know what the people want and then tell the technology who the people are and what they like, and then let the
Mhm.
technology do its work. But most people put that in the wrong order. They think,
Mhm.
"Oh, if I go to someone like Sherman and I put the hammer down on Google and SEO in 30 days, I'll have an extra 100 grand in revenue. It just doesn't work like that. It just
Mhm.
doesn't work like that. And this is a big myth in the marketplace. And I think that digital marketers get a bad rap because leaders put them in the wrong place in the chain. And
Mhm.
so it's my job to come alongside a leader and an owner and rearrange the chain.
Okay.
Mm.
You opened up a can of worms when you spoke to putting the chicken or the egg, basically, what
Right.
people want first before
Mm.
the system.
That's
And I
right.
know that we will cover more of that in a future
Mhm.
episode, maybe next
Yeah.
week. To wrap up today's episode, Amy, what are your final words with what we've covered so far?
Here is the reality. If we as leaders will put others first, what they put value on first, then
Hmm.
they will in the end put value on what we value. And that is the truth. If we will
That's an
rearrange
amazing
who is in the
principle.
driver's seat,
Hmm.
we will always have what we want. We will never have to worry about clients or money.
Correct. Correct. That's a wonderful principle and a great way to end this podcast is to put others' needs first.
Yes,
It will never come up dry.
that's right.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Mm.
Thank you, Amy. Really appreciate the
Sure.
wisdom and the truths and the principles shared. Well, thanks, viewers and listeners, for tuning in to the Amy Harrill podcast, the inaugural podcast. Stay tuned next week as we cover more business topics. We may even unpack more about what people want or how to get to know what people want. Until next week, take care.